Well, it's an honor to welcome Tom Draper on the show today. He's the Associate Dean of Peace Officer Programs at Hennepin Technical College in Minnesota. He's a former law enforcement officer with over 25 years of experience. As he said, he fell retirement like the rest of us. But Tom, man, it's so great to have you today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, Travis.
So, how long? I have to imagine when you hear this recruiting crisis thrown out and you sort of see the state of law enforcement, I just want to get your initial thoughts on it because you're sort of at the ground level, Tom. You're talking to kids or adults that want to go into law enforcement each and every day. Kind of what are you seeing?
Well, since 2000, things have, or 2020, I should say, things have declined quite a bit as far as people wanting to get into law enforcement. The pendulum has started to swing backward or back now, where more people are interested in it and are starting to, enrollment wise, are starting to get back into the career. Now, I hate to date myself, but the generation kind of likes to jump around a lot. So agencies are having a hard. There's no. When I ended my career, there was a lot of people 5 years and then they jumped to another agency because they thought things were better. They find out that things are the same thing agency to agency. You have different people running the agency. Maybe there's different opportunities, but overall it's the same thing. But the generation has no problem moving around a lot, and I'm seeing that now. More students are, as I said, and Minnesota is a little different than the rest of the country. So in Minnesota, you have to have a 2 or 4 year degree in law enforcement, and then you attend what we call a skills school. It's very our training. It's very similar to academies in other states. Um, or they can have a 2 or 4 year degree in anything, but then there's some special extra classes that they have to take. Then they can take the post exam. Then they can be licensed or hired and then licensed. So where other states they'll hire people on, they'll send them through academies and then they go to their agencies that hired them. But we are seeing a steady increase in those that want to get back into law enforcement.
Yeah, and I think the one thing you talk about is absolutely true. I think we are seeing the generation today not willing to just stick around for 20 or 30 years in an organization that they're not particularly fond of. In fact, the latest data that we have is about 62% of every cop today that is recently hired will be gone in 6 years. And maybe they're gone to another department, but they're not staying at that department. And of course, that's culture, right? It's organization. People want to work in good culture, good organization. It doesn't seem like that the so-called benefits we used to pitch, right, and pensions seem to
Mhm.
matter much for this generation. What are your thoughts on that?
No, that is very true. That it is the jump. I used to call them the jumpers because they would go from agency to agency. They want to just, I mean, I hate to put it this way, but the shiny new penny. But yeah, the retirement that you and I thought of was our focus. It is no longer that focus. It's what's good for me right now, is what I'm seeing. But hopefully that shift starts to move back because it is tough for these agencies to retain people, where then now they're trying to make up different packages to keep them there.
Well, we could look at it one of two ways, right? I actually see it as an opportunity for agencies to be better, an opportunity to be an agency to
Mhm.
be better than the agency down the road, an opportunity for agencies to build culture, to add training, to give actually this generation what they actually want. And my fear is, Tom, is what you just said. Oh, we're just throwing hiring bonuses and we're throwing this, we're throwing that. We already established that the benefits aren't the ones that are attracting them and keeping them. So is that short term thinking, or do you think that actually is going to work? Because obviously it's been going on for a while and it's not working in a lot of agencies.
I think it's short term thinking. And I'll mention one thing. We have a career fair here. And 2 years ago, the career fair really wasn't about trying to recruit the students. It was agencies going to other agencies' table and trying to, as we say, poach their current officers or lure them over so they fill their spots or vacancies. at their departments. So that's not happening so much anymore, which is a good thing because it doesn't help any of the agencies when they just sit and do that.
What we see and what we keep talking to our clients about is there's no shortage of people that want to do the job, but you have to reach them differently. Kids today are not going to wait around like you and I waited, hoping for someone to call us, or no one calls us for 6 months. I mean, you've got to be in constant communication. You got to have a process that's quick, that they understand, that their questions are answered. I mean, you deal with these kids every day, Tom. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
That is very true. They have to, I mean, social media is huge. Agencies need to jump on that. And because, I mean, I'll be honest, the cell phone, the iPad, whatever they're on, that's their mode of communication now. And agencies need to be creative that way to reach out to them, to put those messages out. It's no longer, oh, I look it up in the newspaper, or I'll look it up someplace and see if there's an opening. It should be at their fingertips, and that's what this generation is looking at. And when you talked about the agencies, I think you're so right there, because sometimes we can be our own worst enemy. Change is good. Change is why are you making all this change? Change is bad. That's terrible. Well, again, technology, you need to use it, because that's what this generation is about. I'll be honest, is technology.
Yeah, and if I was to give you this data, which is straight from the industry, is across all industries in America, 85% of all job applications come from people's phones. I don't think that's going to surprise you based on what you just said, but if we were to say that to a department, the department should probably think about putting their application in a mobile environment. In fact, we can tell you, Tom, and I'll just piggyback on what you just said, is departments that use this sort of archaic human resource, go to your desktop, register for an account. I'm telling you, this shocks people. When we tell them this, they're losing 90% of the people that express interest in the department. Now, as a department, you could take that one or two ways. You could say, well, they're not worthy of being here, because if they weren't willing to jump through the obstacles that I've created through this old archaic system, then they can go somewhere else. Or you can look at it this way. You better conform to what the job seeker wants, or they'll just find a job that does.
Yes, you are so true. Very, very true about all of that. And the whole idea of, like you had mentioned it just earlier too, about the testing. You can no longer do we'll look at the applications, we'll take a written test, and then in 3 or 4 weeks, we'll get a hold of you for interviews, and those will stretch out another couple weeks. Things have to happen at a much quicker rate. I think a lot of agencies are starting to move that way, but it is the ones that are still stuck in that way of, one, like you said, they don't put it in a platform that this generation can use or find frustrating.
I mean, yeah, we've sort of had our success across the country, Tom, because we source candidates for agencies, and we work with individual agencies, so we're not sourcing a pool, but we source candidates for agencies on their mobile device, and we find them on the mobile device, and we keep them on the mobile device. But I'm always finding it surprising when agencies sort of fight against that. I'm like, and I'm like, hey, if you want to go to the career fair or you want to do your own thing, go ahead. But we've had a difficult time wrapping our head around the fact that this recruiting issue, because we want to blame 2020 and we want to blame the new generation. You can keep blaming that, and the problem doesn't get fixed. Or you can get solutions that sort of circumvent that problem. It's not unique to law enforcement. Every industry's had to adapt to this. But as you said, the tradition of law enforcement sort of is a slow roll. So I'm interested in the college, because I bet the college has adapted. For instance, when my sons applied for college, they immediately got text messages. They immediately got emails. They immediately had someone call them. I have to assume your college has done the same thing.
Oh, yes. As soon as they apply, they're getting an email from us indicating, we've received your email. We will reach out to you shortly. And we do. Then we get the information that they've applied. We'll reach out to them. We'll let them know the status of their application and, what the next steps will be so that they're informed. So, yes, the colleges have started to adapt to that, or have been.
Yeah, and you probably don't know this, but we have a software package we built for law enforcement called Safeguard Connect that does that for agencies of all sizes. It's priced to where any agency can afford it, and they can have that same type of tool that the colleges have, because quite frankly, we see that it works. I mean, we implement and Safeguard Connect, which does what you just said, Tom. It's nothing rocket science. I mean, every university and every private industry is doing it. It immediately doubles the applications. That sounds insane, but it's just because of the processes we're talking about. You've got to fine tune those, and you've seen that there at the college, and you probably see what the kids want as well.
Oh, yes. And, going back to the agencies, I think some of it is that they're still stuck in the past. They're still stuck in, well, it worked for me, it'll work for them. And you got to get past that. You have to get to this generation, no matter what. And yes, that's the way this generation is going to be.
I find it interesting that a lot of agencies are sort of doubling down on fancy recruiting videos or fancy marketing budgets with taglines. And I want to get your thought, because I have kids, but you have a whole lot more kids that you talk to there. That does not impress my kids. They're on TikTok and Instagram and they do their thing. So some tactical cool video that we're paying lots of money for, some branding thing that agencies are doing. The reason they haven't seen that work, and they haven't seen that work across the country, is because that's marketing. That's not recruiting. I want to know your thoughts on that, because my theory is you're not going to convince a kid to come to your organization based on a video or a branding thing that doesn't even come in the top 100 of what they already saw the day online anyway. What's your thoughts on that?
No, I agree totally. This generation now is one of the first questions I get is, what's your schedule and how soon am I going to be done? And am I going to be able to still work while going to school? I mean, we're finding at our school has the largest diverse population in this state, hands down, and they still need to work. So we built a schedule so they can come in, they can finish up, and they can continue to work and provide for their families. But yes, just a quick little story is on the whole video thing. Is I was recruiting at a school, and one student said, "Hey, you going to show us a fancy video like the other school?" And I said, "No." And I said, if I have to, by doing a fancy little video to get you to come to our college, and that's going to draw you, well, that's all the wrong reasons to draw you in. Well, then you'll go someplace else. So I don't think they're worth the time that they put into them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's what we believe. And we do those for some clients, but we tell them it's a secondary issue. Like, if you don't have people to show them to, doesn't really matter what kind of video you do. I know we like the videos, Tom, because we're law enforcement. We like these videos, but we're not the generation we're trying to recruit. And we've seen, our data tells us they're they're not very effective at all. In fact, we had one client that had a previous video, and we showed them the sort of advertisement and sourcing that we do. Like, we like it, but we really want to see the video. We want the video in there. I said, hey, we'll do the video in there as long as we can all look at the data at the end of the month to see. And we look at the data at the end of the month, and literally, I think the video was getting about one 1,000th of attention as as pictures that talk about, as you said, flexibility, days off, schedules, things that get their attention. I don't think we put enough emphasis in that, because one of the benefits of law enforcement, as long as they're staffed up a little bit, is, man, you get to kind of, 2 days before you can put in for a vacation day, or you can put in for a vacation. Private industry's not like that. You're 6 months ahead of time, you're having to predict your vacation. And so we work 4/10s or we work 3/12. So there's a lot of flexibility this new generation wants, but we're not seeing a lot of departments that are wanting to sort of emphasize that. It's all about the hiring bonuses. It's all about the salary. And I keep telling them, listen, that's third, fourth, or fifth place in what these kids want.
Yeah,
because that it just is. And so I guess I'd get your thoughts on that.
I totally agree with you on that, Travis, because back when I was working, I put together a 12-hour schedule for our department that I was working at. And everybody kind of looked at it and they said, we're going to be spending all our time here, all this, the old way of thinking, in my opinion. And then the sergeants, we worked the shift. And what did the officers say? Well, we never see you here. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So they adopted the schedule. And the generation now is, I want to have family time.
Yep.
I want to be able to take my time off. So what am I earning and what's my schedule look like so that I can spend holidays with my family if the rotation works out right. It might not this year, but next year I will. So their emphasis is different from many years ago. And like we've talked, agencies need to start moving that around a little more.
Yeah, it's good stuff, Tom. And your intel is so valuable for our clients and for people watching this. I think we have a lot of good intent. We want to.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lack of effort, right? A lot of agencies are doing a lot. A lot of recruiters are doing a lot, but you've got to focus that effort to be more efficient. We've of course built a system to do that, and we've made it accessible to every single department. And every client we've had is staffing up full. We're seeing it from large agencies and small agencies. But I think coming from you, Tom, you're not selling anything. You just your real experience. It has to be valuable because you're speaking to this generation each and every day, man. I can't thank you enough for doing that.
Sure. That's what I'm here for. And that's what the school is here for too. But again, keeping them safe, one thing, training them how to do things properly and the right way, in the honest way, integrity. And then, what works good for them. I always say, this agency, as you said, can offer a ton of money, but what else are they offering you other than a ton of money?
Yeah, man. And you're talking about hitting the nail on the head. We keep talking about that, right? And I just know it because I have kids that, I've got, my oldest is 26, my youngest is 15. I know exactly what they're looking for. They very little mention money. They want to work in a good environment, a flexible environment. They want to work around people that support them and care for them. Yep. Which is something that I think is difficult because, Tom, I'm not going to get into your past, but you were in law enforcement about the same time period I was. We actually didn't expect that. We actually expected a toxic environment, and we were almost manly enough to go, we'll work our way through it. Not today. You better not have that environment if you want these new kids to work for you, right?
Yes, you are so right. It brings up so many memories.
Oh, it's such fond memories, right? Of all those good times.
Oh, yeah. Suck it up, buttercup, stuff like that. Oh,
well, yeah. I tell you what they relied on. They could do that, Tom, because, man, we were lifers. That was just, we were staying till 20 or 25 or 30, and we were lifers, and we were stubborn. The kids today aren't lifers, so you better adjust or they'll just be gone. And by the way, the data's telling us, as I said, most of them won't make it 5 years, but I think they can. It's one of the greatest professions on the planet.
Oh.
We have to get to the specifics of why it is. And it ain't because of you, sergeant or lieutenant or chief. It ain't because of your hiring bonus. It's because you get to do stuff that is really cool, get back to the mission, show them the mission, let them know they can make a difference, and hire Safeguard Recruiting, and you're fixed, right?
Yes, there you go.
Tom Draper, man, it's been fun, man. I really appreciate you. If anybody wants to get a hold of you, how can they do it? I know they can go to the college website, but anything else you want them to know?
It's tom.draper, and that's DRAPER at hennepintech.edu.
Thanks for what you're doing, Tom. Thanks for you're playing an integral role in the future of our community. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
And if you've been watching or you've been listening, thank you. We'll see you next week.